Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special vision update for our church family here at Amblecote Community Church. In this video, we want to talk a little bit about where we're at currently and some of where we believe God is leading us in the next few months and years. And the aim of this video is to give us all as a church family something to think about over the next few months before our in-person church family meeting on Sunday, the 25th of January. So we really hope that as we discuss, this is helpful, thought-provoking, and will give you plenty to think about. So let's start, Vanessa, with where we're at currently. Where are we as a church family? How are things?
I think, and we think, that we're in a good, healthy place. We're not perfect, no church is, but we're seeing some really encouraging signs, aren't we? So we're seeing people come to faith. We've had baptisms this year, we've got more lined up for next year, and also people exploring faith as well. And we're seeing people contacting us and just turning up at church, which is amazing and wonderful. We've had 30 new members join us in the last 18 months, which is really encouraging and starting to get stuck into church life a bit as well, which is always a good sign. And people are going deeper, in community, mission and discipleship. There is a kind of depth there as well. And our summer survey was really interesting, a really good dip check. 95% of you said that you felt a sense of belonging. It's really encouraging, isn't it, to our church family? And 70% of our church family also said they were confident in talking and sharing about the love of Jesus. So again, some really good, healthy signs. We're not perfect, and there are challenges in that. But I think what is important is recognising the season that we're in. I think it's critical to understand the times and seasons, isn't it? And we have said plenty of times over recent years, we're in a season of building. And it is about not being complacent, maybe taking some risks and actually following Jesus in where he's leading us in that.
Definitely. And we've been doing a bit of that sense in the season, haven't we, as elders? Tim, do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, over the last year, we've been deliberately trying to make time to read, to pray, to discuss, not just ourselves, but also to go and visit people and places. And in all of that, what we've been looking for is we're in a good place, but what might God have next for us? We know that our vision isn't going to change, that we want to love Jesus and love our neighbours ourselves. Community mission discipleship is the way that we articulate how we do that. But that being the case, there's still the question of, but what next? What next?
And as we've been doing that listening, what's really interesting is we've been seeing a real quite significant change in our wider culture. So when we're thinking about where we're at, we don't just want to think about Amblecote. We've got to think actually what's happening in the UK, in our communities, in our neighbourhood. And we've talked a little bit about the Quiet Revival report. And that actually came out we became aware of it during our season of listening. And that reported that actually there is some sort of spiritual awakening happening in our time. We're not quite sure what that is, but actually we want to be aware of that and recognising that that is happening. And we've seen that not only on these reports, there's been a number of different reports, hasn't there? But also in our own context here, we've seen that people turning up to church, you've talked about people really open to talking about God, talking about Jesus, what's this Bible thing all about? And that's really exciting as well, isn't it? So something is happening in our culture, isn't it?
Yeah. So in summary, we'd say that we think we're in a healthy place, and we've spent this time listening. We think we're ready for the next steps, and we're aware that what's going on in culture has to be a part of that picture as well.
So that's where we're at. That's our first video. Where are we? Join us for our next video when we're going to talk about, well, if that's where we're at, what's our problem and maybe what might be our solution. Hello everyone, and welcome to the second video in our special vision update for our church family at Amblecote Community Church. In our first video, Tim and Vanessa, we chatted about, let me give a summary. We highlighted that our church we think is in a generally healthy place.
Yeah.
We talked that there's something happening in our wider culture where people are wanting to come to faith, and that's a really exciting moment.
Yeah.
So my question is really, if things are in a good place, things are healthy, and people are looking for Jesus,
Yeah.
well, what's the problem? What's the issue?
The problem in a nutshell is that we're full. We are full as a church. So Vanessa said in the first video, we've seen people come to faith. We've seen people integrate well into our church family, but we are the same size in any given 2 to 3 year period. So a recent example, over the last 18 months, we've seen 50 people attend our newcomers' lunches. And of those, 30 have stayed and got embedded in the church family, which is an amazing
Good.
rate of sort of people coming through. But we're the same size as we were at the start of that process. And so we've looked back through the stats over the years, and we've realized that for decades, we have always knocked about at the same sort of size, which has told us that the way we're set up, it is in such a way to produce this kind of size church. And the problem then is that we haven't got room amongst us, both for new people to come to faith and be discipled really well, and for our existing church family to continue to flourish and grow. We're full.
Yeah.
And as we've been in our season of listening, we've come to realise that this is not just an Amblecote problem, is it?
Yeah, definitely. We came across quite a few articles and information about how churches generally were.
Yeah.
And again, these are general rules, but there is something called the 200 barrier, which largely says that a church will grow into a certain size, normally around 200, and the systems and the structures and the way that it's set up keep growth at about that level.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll go a little bit higher at times. It might go a little bit lower at times, but the way that it's set up and the way that it's geared up locks that kind of numbers wise, locks it into that barrier of around 200. And that was really interesting as we came across that, because I think we see that here, don't we, in our church family?
And it helped us to understand what full means. So it might be helpful to say a bit about that, because full doesn't mean can you get more seats in the room? We know that we're not full in that sense, but what this listening helped us to see is that churches don't stop growing because they've reached the maximum capacity of seats in the room. It's for a whole range of factors. So we've realised that we're full in a number of ways.
Yeah.
So we've realised we're full practically. Like the car park is full most Sundays. And at our church, most people drive to church. And if you can't park, that's a really hard thing, especially if you're new or a bit more on the fringes. So we're full in that's just one example. But in practice,
very practical example.
But we're full relationally as well. So in terms of the number of people in a room that you can connect to and get to know, and the number of friendships that you can form, the way our church is, we're sort of full in that sense as well. The number of people that you can pastor as pastors is a factor as well, and we're probably full on that level as well. Leadership, have you got opportunities for people to grow in their gifts and their service and their leadership? Well, we're fairly full there. And in terms of feel, say a lot of these studies said that when your room's about 70% full, it feels a certain way and you tend not to grow too much beyond that. And as we looked through all these measures, it suddenly made sense to us, didn't it? This is why we're stuck at where we are, because on all these measures, we're full really.
I'll just jump in there to say, we're not saying this is just all about numbers, are we?
No.
I hope our church family know our hearts. We're not just about bums on seats and trying to build a big, loads of people in. It's about actually we're full in terms of creating discipleship, following Jesus together, all the important stuff that we've talked about for years.
Yeah.
There's actually a limiting factor on those, I would say.
In the first video, we think we've got something really good here, but we haven't got the capacity to offer that to more people.
Yeah. And I think that's a real issue around mission, isn't it? We talked a bit about that in the first video.
I think this is actually crucial, having space for what God is doing and may do. Of course, we don't know, do we? We are seeing signs, really encouraging signs across the UK and in our region.
Yeah.
But if we don't do anything, how, and we do see more people wanting to explore faith, where are we going to have the room for that? And we don't want to get to the position that we're full. We're already feeling like that, but we want to have space. So we do need to create some kind of space for that. I think that's crucial. It's about positioning ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
As to what God is doing and may do.
Yeah.
Let me summarize that.
Yeah.
We're in a good place.
Yeah.
We're seeing community mission and discipleship grow.
Yep.
However, we're full, I think you've said. And actually that is becoming a problem in terms of both new people coming to faith and finding a place of discipleship and community and mission for themselves, but also in terms of opportunities for leadership, opportunities for growth. We're full in that sense. There's practicals, there's relational, there's leadership and growth issues that mean we're full. That is our problem.
That's right.
So join us for our third video, where we're going to talk a bit about what we believe God is saying about the solution to our problem. Hello everyone, and welcome to our third and final video in our special vision update for our church family here at Amblecote Community Church. In our first video, we talked a bit about where we're at right now as a church family. Also, we talked about what's happening in our wider culture. Then in our second video, we presented our problem, the issue that we're not growing numerically. There are massive amounts of opportunity, it seems, in people coming to faith and people in our culture who are interested in faith. But actually, we're stuck at what we talked about, the 200-person barrier. And we really need to create opportunities for growth, both in community mission discipleship, in our relationship with Jesus, but also for those who are coming to faith. And so in this video, we want to talk about what we believe is our solution to our problem. So Tim, kick us off. What is our solution?
So our preferred solution to this problem is to launch a second congregation. So I'm going to take a minute to define what I mean by that. So you could plant a second service. And in a second service, in our view, everything largely stays the same. So we'd take what we do on a Sunday morning and we'd repeat it. It would be the same staff, the same content, everything would stay the same. But you'd do that twice, and therefore you create more space for people to gather on a Sunday. On the other end of the scale, you'd have a complete church plant, and in that, everything changes. So you're in a new location, you have new leadership, it's separate logistically, practically, all the bits and bobs of church are different in a church plant. By a second congregation, we mean a pathway in between those two, where you are creating a new congregation. And if you're part of that congregation, those will be the people that you follow Jesus with. And you'll pursue him together. You'll seek to be transformed and encounter him. Small groups, that sort of thing will orientate around that congregation. But some things will be shared. So probably the building will be shared, but also some of the staffing and the office and the logistics. And we're quite excited about this possibility because the things that are different should create loads of room for the kind of growth we want to see. So space for people to become integrated into community, to grow in their discipleship, leadership, and all the rest of it. But a lot of the things that are hard work in church, the logistics, the practicalities, the back office stuff, that can be shared. So this model, we hope, will kind of minimize the costs of growth whilst give us real opportunities for all the things that we're passionate about.
Definitely. It's worth saying, isn't it, that we have looked at other options this time as we've been in our season of listening and discerning. There are obviously other churches that are bigger than 200.
Yeah.
But we feel that this road allows us to keep our DNA, keep what God is doing amongst us, and actually bring about what we currently have, but for more people. It's really like other options would be we could, for example, knock the building down and buy a bigger building and get 1,000 people in, and that could be good. Some churches have gone that way. We feel that doesn't preserve what we're about and the relational connections. Also, if we went up to bigger numbers in sort of one congregation, It needs a lot more systems and structures. And
The
again,
whole way you work changes.
it's a change of the way we work.
Yeah.
We feel that this way actually preserves the way that we work.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, you've mentioned in the other video, Vanessa, about our summer survey, and we had a question about the size of church.
Yeah.
And over 60% of our church family feel that our church is the right size.
Yeah.
And I think we agree.
Yeah.
We like our size, don't we? We feel it's a good size. It's a healthy size. There's enough people to kind of have some life and meet different people, but you can still know people and meet them and know their faces. So we believe that. And we also believe it's a good size for discipleship and for following Jesus together as well. So that's what we're sensing, isn't it? And I think we believe this is what God is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to talk about that, because I think a critical question, could be, is this what God is saying then to us here? And we've spent a significant amount of time, as you all know, over the last year praying and fasting. So thank you for those who have prayed and talking to other leaders across the UK. You've had your sabbatical tip. And, there does seem to be a sense that this is where God is leading us as a team. We've sensed that. So in some ways, we haven't had a direct word from God that says, this is what you should do.
No.
But we have spent 12 months before the Lord praying and considering and spending a lot of time researching. And we've treated it really seriously. And there have been a few prophetic words, but they're more confirming that this is the right way that we should go. So we have a confidence together as a team of elders that this is the way that God is leading us.
Yeah.
And we're excited.
Yeah.
I feel a sense of excitement about it. Obviously, there is a little nervousness, but, when you're moving something forward, I think you have to be bold, and it is a time for boldness. But we are excited because this creates more opportunities for people. I could see more opportunities for leadership growth. You want to see young leaders emerging and growing. And as soon as you have a different space, people can step up more, and the potential for new disciples as well. And positioning ourselves. So I think what we would say is this feels to us, as far as we're able to say, that this is the way. Yeah, this is the way the Lord seems to be leading us.
Let me summarize then. So we believe that God is leading us to begin a second congregation. And that's not a second service. It's not a church plant, but somewhere in the middle of those where we can create more room for growth, for discipleship, mission, and community, and also growth for those coming to faith.
Yeah,
That's right.
So we want you to think about that, pray about that. And there aren't more details at this point around what that would look like, because we want to gather on Sunday, the 25th of January, to discuss, to share, to ask questions. We'll have time between now and then for you to talk to us, talk to one another. And we want to do this together as a church family. So join us on Sunday, the 25th of January, where we'll share more.